After reading and loving Austin Kleon's book Show Your Work, I decided that it was about time that I should read its predecessor, Steal Like an Artist. But almost as soon as I got it through the door, I noticed one thing in particular among the chapter titles on the back cover. Chapter 7, Geography is no longer our master. Now, as a geography student, I was outraged. But as a creative on the internet, it's bang on. So I am conflicted. So let's talk about that. I'm going to be drawing on a lot of personal experiences during this video, so a quick little bit of context in case you have no idea who I am. So hi, my name's Tristan. I'm a geography student by day and a creative by night. What kind of creative? A little bit of everything. Still trying to figure that out. Nevertheless, one of the biggest tensions I've always had in my life is that between academics and creativity. The second conflict being giving myself far too much editing work to do. Oh, I'm gonna hate myself for that. Some of the biggest things that play into that first tension are the environments that I'm in and the people that I am with. During my school days, it was very easy to be immersed in academics because, as the school was purposely built to do, I was surrounded by other learners, by sugar paper wall displays, and all of these things were able to enhance my learning. But on the other hand, when it came to video, my creative hobby, I had to be a lot more self-sufficient. Beyond an initial exposure to the family camcorder, I was left to my own devices to vlog on a GoPro before vlogging was cool. I made little skits, and generally I was figuring it out on my own. There wasn't any film scene at home, and somehow there was even less of a film scene at school. So much so that I was nicknamed the one-man media team because I was the only person who was interested in and actively making videos. So that meant that for me, growing up, filmmaking was a lonely hobby. But it would have been even more lonely had it not been for the internet.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet.
You don't have to live anywhere other than the place you are to start connecting with the world you want to be in. This might be my favourite quote from the book, not because it's a new idea to me, but because it perfectly articulates how I've managed to make some amazing friends and connections from all across the country, from all across the globe. Living at home, too young to change that, and hence stuck in a place with very limited public transport links, geographically I was stuck with nobody who shared my interest in video. Harvey or Alex, if you're watching, I don't mean to downplay the occasional projects that we did, but you have to admit that logistically they were a pain in the... In years gone by, not having anyone to share your interest might have been a problem to the point where you might lose that interest. But thankfully with the internet, that wasn't the case for me. I found a whole community of people that were interested in video. In the evenings after school, we would hop into calls for hours and chat cameras, microphones, cool videos that we'd seen. We came up with short film ideas. We wrote scripts. We found music that would fit the vibe that we were going for. We even planned several shots. But, and this is where the book just misses the mark in my opinion, the internet doesn't make up for all geographical barriers, particularly when it comes to collaboration. There is a difference between connections and capabilities. What I mean by that is that although the internet can help you acquire some connections, there are still limits on what you can do from where you are. Case in point, those short films that I've been planning with one of my best internet friends, Jake. Good day. Do you remember those short films that we came up with ideas for? So, I think one was called Ghost Flusters, and the other was like a Stranger... I can't remember the title, but the other one was like a Stranger Things-esque style thing.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
You remember how much of those do you remember?
I remember the basic ideas, and that's about as far as it got.
The basic... And thing is, that is as far as they got. What do you think, realistically, is what stopped us from making them?
Distance.
Do you think we would have made it had we lived a lot closer to each other?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it would have, yeah.
Yeah. If only. Because of our geographies, we stuck to what we could do online, which for us was gaming videos, which were great and a lot of fun, sure, but we still had those other projects that we wanted to do, but couldn't. My point is that the internet does let us bypass geographies when it comes to forming connections. But, as I think Kleon brushes over, geographies still matter when it comes to certain types of collaboration. Sure, things have gotten better, but the arts have found out over the past year and a half that not everything can be done online. Just me and Jake found that out about 4 or 5 years ago. Now bear with me as I still have one more quick geography criticism about the book before I jump into its praises, and believe me, there are many, but I still think this is important. Internet access is not universal. This book treats it as though it is, and although that might be true for the book's audience, just as it's going to be true for my audience, because you're watching an online video, it may well ring true that nowadays a lot of your peers are right where you left them, on the internet. But that's not going to ring true for everyone. In fact, looking across the entire world's population, if you had access to the internet before 2019, you are in the minority. This book came out in 2012. Now, Kleon knew his audience, he knew that they were more than likely going to be in the developed world, he knew that they were more than likely going to have internet access, and so it's not unreasonable for him to write confidently as if they are and they do. All the same though, we should acknowledge that internet access is still a privilege and that there are offline creatives who can't take advantage of the internet chapter of this book. For them, geography is still important for defining what's feasible and what's not. But, and I want to make this as clear as I can, just because this book has prompted the geographical discussions on my end, it does not mean that it is any lesser of a book for not including them. In fact, I actually really admire the straight-up style of the book. It's pretty motivational. Not every single piece of writing has to include nuance and caveats all of the time. Motivational speeches would be so much worse if they did. But I do still like some nuance, and Kleon recognised exactly where it was needed. To say that geography is no longer our master isn't to say that place isn't important. Do you work better at university than you do at home? Because I sure do. Did you move hundreds of miles away from home for university? You might not have done, but I did, and genuinely it was actually a really good time, and really good for the brain. When the world looks new, our brains work harder. I really like the way that Austin Kleon put this. Now, of course, you still don't have to move halfway across the country like I did, but go somewhere new, because novelty is incredible for the brain. Now, as well as nuance, one other thing which I really like in non-fiction books is actionable advice, and Kleon gives that. As a geographer, I was really happy to see that Kleon captured the importance of place while still emphasising that you can still do a lot from where you are. Maybe you work better at your local library or your coffee shop, maybe you just have to move to your kitchen table. I wrote this script from my kitchen table. Whatever the case, you can build your own world around you, because locales and environments are powerful. Place is powerful. Is geography no longer the master of creatives? It depends on your geography. It depends on where you are, what you have, and who you're connected to, or not. Geography is no longer our master is a bold claim from Austin Kleon. And I can't quite agree with it. I can't. But it has gotten me to think really deeply as a geographer and a creative. Chapter 7 has given me a great thought experiment. What are my thoughts on the rest of the book, you may ask? It's good. During my first reading, I genuinely just rushed through it to reach chapter 7 to figure out what the geography section was about. But since then, I've reread it a bit more slowly and taken in some great tidbits of information, advice, and just motivation. I describe it as for creatives working out how to be creative and for teaching you some great ways of getting ideas and acting on them. It's great for people at the start of their journey. I personally am a bit later on in my creative journey and trying to figure out how to share my creative endeavours. So I personally got more out of the sequel, Show Your Work, than I did out of this one. But this book, still like an artist, is still a great read nonetheless. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know it's been a little while since my last upload, but during that time I've become a lot more of a bookworm. So if you have any reading suggestions for me, then let me know in the comment section down below or on Twitter. But that's all from me for now, so like, subscribe, all that stuff to support the channel, and I will see you in the next one.